Hello YouTube and welcome to an all new Elder Scrolls lore video, this time on the Painted World, a small mysterious world that we can enter in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, which seems to exist within a painting. Now, how is it possible to enter a painting, and what kind of realm is this world then, and are there multiple of these worlds? And to follow up, what insane powers does the artifact True Paint, which is the artifact that the creator of the realm uses, actually have? Let's talk about it. Alright, so recently I was replaying Oblivion and I replayed the quest A Brush of Death, in which you enter the Painted World, a world inside a painting in which its painter got trapped with aggressive painted trolls that prevent him from escaping. I never really bothered thinking too critically about this quest, that I just assumed that it was something that the designers thought would be fun and then just never reference again and pretend it never happened, but strangely enough, that's not the case. In fact, this quest with the Painted World got references in almost every Elder Scrolls game since Oblivion. It's referenced in Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Online, and even in the Elder Scrolls Legends, and even in the official Elder Scrolls novel, Lord of Souls. That's 3 more games and 4 more mentions than Fargoth got outside of Morrowind, and people still talk about him, so I think it's definitely worth talking about this. You see, in Oblivion you enter the painting because the wife of the painter got concerned when her husband suddenly disappeared from his atelier. He was just nowhere to be found, with only his painting supplies and unfinished paintings left in the room. The painter, Ryth Latandas, is quite a celebrity around Cyrodiil. He is one of the Empire's most renowned painters, famous for his amazing, almost lifelike paintings of Cyrodiil's forests. So him going missing is quite a big deal. You then investigate his atelier and soon you discover that touching the painting on the easel transports you into the Painted World, a small realm filled with painted trees, hills, skies. Basically, you are in the painting, and it's actually quite a pretty little piece of Oblivion to walk around in my opinion at least. Well, in the Painted World you immediately find Ryth, who tells you that he's stuck inside the painting. He then reveals that he is not actually a real painter, but rather that he got his hands on a magical artifact that was passed down from his father to him called True Paint. A paintbrush, he says, that has been gifted to his father by the goddess Dibella after his father, who was an avid painter, lost his arms while fighting in a war. The paintbrush, which is allegedly made out of Dibella's own hairs, has the property of creating a world out of canvas, which can be entered by mortals, and inside this world he who holds the paintbrush can basically imagine anything they want, and it will appear life-size in the Painted World, and it will also appear on the canvas in the real world. That way Ryth was able to make all these amazing lifelike paintings. So this paintbrush was allegedly a gift from Dibella to his father, because his father was such a passionate painter, but without his arms, which he lost in the war, he wasn't able to paint, so Dibella gave him a brush that could do it for him instead. Alright, that's what he tells us at least. So for his entire career, all that Ryth had to do was just enter the canvas with True Paint, imagine scenery, and then paint a portal for himself to get back into the real world and leave the painting. And then once done with the painting, he just closes the entrance into the Painted World somehow, how exactly isn't described, and you get this perfect lifelike painting of anything that you could imagine while you were in there. Now, in the quest, it turns out that while he was working inside the Painted World, a thief who had presumably hidden himself in his atelier followed him into the painting, stole the brush of True Paint, and then fled further into the Painted World as he painted trolls to stop Ryth from chasing him as he ran, hoping that he could get far away enough from Ryth not to be able to catch him, and then paint a portal for himself to get out of the painting again. Well, unfortunately, his own trolls turned on him and then killed him on the edge of the Painted World, where you can literally see the blank canvas as he fell dead, murdered by the trolls that he himself painted. This left Ryth, who is not a fighter, stuck in the Painted World, as he could not retrieve True Paint from the thief's body due to the trolls being in his way. You, as the player, can then defeat the trolls. You return the brush to Ryth, and he paints the two of you out of that world by painting a portal out of the Painted World to back to the real world. You then get a minor reward and quest done. But the questions begin here, because what exactly is going on here? First of all, do the paintings actually turn into paintings when he finishes them off and then closes off access to the Painted World? Or does True Paint just casually create these small realms and then he sells these small realms, which are closed off, as paintings? So essentially selling small closed off portals to these painted worlds, where you can only look inside them instead of being able to travel into them because he closed off access. Or do they turn into paintings in the same way how you can work on an image on your PC, so it's modifiable, and then print it using a printer, and then it's no longer modifiable because it's an actual image? Like, how does this work? And second question, what exactly are these painted worlds that you can enter? It seems highly unlikely that they are pocket realms of Oblivion, as Dibella, the alleged creator of the brush, is an Adric goddess and not a Daedric lord, and Adric realms are not really something that we see all that often, since their nature is so different to that of Daedric realms. I've seen people online speculate that it's possible that these painted worlds are realms created inside what is Dibella's planet or realm, as the Aedra allegedly have realms of their own circling Nirn-like planets in the mortal plane, which we don't really visit in any of the games. But even that is just completely up for debate, because we don't really know what the exact nature of these realms are and whether something like these pocket realms would be possible inside one of them. So yeah, what exactly these painted worlds are is a complete mystery. But the mystery gets even deeper, because some people have claimed that the painted world is simply a very complicated illusion spell, but you see, it's not that. Because the trolls, when you kill them, are able to fill a soul gem, meaning that True Paint can somehow create souls, a brush which can create souls. But even if you think that that's just a game mechanic, it gets even better, because the trolls drop this rare ingredient that you can only obtain inside the painted world called painted troll fat, which has unique alchemical properties as opposed to normal troll fat, and you can take that outside of the painting without it disappearing, so things created inside the painted world can transfer outside of it into the Mundus, so that's the place Tamriel is in, the realm. And it's most definitely not a game mechanic, as in Skyrim, so the game after Oblivion, the Alchemist of Riften has dialogue saying that he has to contact Wraith Latandas, you know, the painter that we just rescued in Oblivion. I mean, he's a Dark Elf, so it's logical that he's still alive by the time of Skyrim, considering their lifespans. But he has to contact him to get some painted troll fat, as it's a very rare and expensive ingredient that only Wraith sells and exports by the time of Skyrim. So even within the universe, taking things out of the painting is actually canon. Like, where does this stop? If painted trolls have a soul and they could theoretically leave the painting through a painted portal, just like their fat, does that mean that the one holding the brush could create intelligent beings as well? Say if you painted, or rather imagined, an Imperial soldier inside of the painted realm. Like, this man, Wraith, just casually uses his artifact to create paintings, but he might be holding the power of a literal god, if that works. But there's one final piece of the puzzle which we still haven't talked about and which hasn't been fitted into this whole story yet, specifically Wraith lying to us, or at least his father lying to Wraith about how they got the brush of True Paint. Like I said, his father told Wraith that he got the brush from Dibella when he lost his arms in the war, so he would be able to continue to express himself in art. But if that's true, which is possible, I mean, it's possible because all of Elder Scrolls is basically an unreliable narrator, then the final piece of the puzzle would be a massive coincidence. You see, in the Elder Scrolls Online, we can find the journal of one Bravam Lythandas, a far ancestor of Wraith and his father, or maybe not even that far, since Dark Elves have a quite long lifespan. Thinking about it, it might even just be his grandfather, but we don't really know their family tree, like, this doesn't go that deep. This journal of Bravam basically reveals that he was a Dunmer sorcerer who psychologically tormented some people that he kidnapped to try and research the effect of illusions on the mortal mind. He used powerful illusion spells and enchantments to have some people in his basement believe that they actually lived in an elaborate palace, and that they were in fact nobles and not just kidnapped by him. This started working after some experimentation, but after a few weeks his text subjects just started completely losing their minds, with one of them continually praying to Dibella for relief. It's actually a really fucked up experiment. I can recommend reading the entire journal to find out how bad this dude was. Like, he convinced one of the test subjects that he would die if he took off the necklace which kept the illusion alive, so it's pretty nasty. Anyway, one day Bravam Lythandas entered his basement only to find that everything in it, his test subjects and all the furniture, was just gone, and every wall of the room was now painted, depicting large murals of the insides of an elaborate palace. with all that was left in the room being just a small paintbrush and some paint supplies, with that paintbrush obviously being true paint. This implies that someone or something intervened, gave the kidnapped test subjects true paint which allowed them to escape into a painted world depicting a palace in which they now truly wanted to live, but now away from the psychological torment of their captor. But this story implies that the brush has been in the possession of the Lathandas family ever since, for the subsequent 1000 years to Skyrim, handed down from parent to child every generation. This allowed the Lathandas family to become basically a lineage of famous painters, keeping the true powers of true paint a secret. Of course, the secret sometimes leaked out and people looked for the elusive brush over the ages, as we can witness in the Elder Scrolls Online, but nobody ever connected them to the Lathandas family and they usually died before finding them. So what exactly is this brush of true paint? Well, the most straightforward explanation is that we can just trust the dialogue that is given to us, and that it's just an artifact of Dibella, originally given by Dibella as an act of mercy to the captives of Bravan Lathandas, which allowed them to create a small pocket realm to live in away from their captor. This strengthens the theory that the Divines, or the Aedra, are still quite powerful at manipulating the Mundus, and at least have their own realms like the Daedra, as it would be likely that the Painted Worlds are just pocket realms of Dibella's realm, if it's truly an artifact of Dibella. Which acolytes of Dibella believe, by the way, that it's an artifact of Dibella, that is. But Elder Scrolls is full of unreliable narrators, and this whole ordeal kinda got me thinking. Save for some very specific incidents, the Divines don't really tend to interfere with the Mundus as much as the Daedric Princes do, for example, so it's also very possible that this artifact, True Paint, is not a Dibellan artifact at all, but it's rather assumed by the ancestor of Wraith, Bravan Lathandas, that Dibella gave it to his captives because one of the captives was just praying to Dibella all the time, but we don't know who actually gave the artifact. You see, I speculate that this might actually be a Daedric artifact, specifically one created by the Daedric prince Clavicus Vile. Remember, this is all speculation on my side, but I feel like an Aedric divine like Dibella, just disregarding the whole debate about the amount of power that the Divines still have, would not give an artifact like this just to some mortals and then leave it there in the room like that after the captives of Bravem actually escaped. This whole ordeal seems more like Clavicus Viles' MO. He is the Daedric Prince of Bargains and the embodiment of careful what you wish for. He enters pacts with mortals and grants them their wishes, but he's a trickster. And the wishes almost always come back to bite you if you're not very careful and precise in what you wish. This paintbrush inside the painted world has literally unlimited potential, it seems, but it's also a double-edged sword, as we've seen, because remember, paint something dangerous like a troll, and if you don't know what you're doing, you get straight up murdered by your own creation. Not just that, I can imagine the captives of Bravan Lathandas, after no answered prayers for their freedom from Dibella, just wishing that they were truly in the palace that they were imagining due to his illusions. So then Clavicus Vile appeared and fulfilled their wish, giving them the brush, not telling them that if they did not take the brush with them into the painted world, they would literally never again be able to leave. And of course, the brush was left outside, locking the captives forever inside that painted world of the palace. Of course, this is all speculation, but considering that this is an artifact which seems very nice on the surface, but can easily ruin your life, as remember, even Wraith himself, the guy that has the paintbrush in Oblivion, nearly got locked in his own painted world forever, just never to escape again. I mean, it feels far more like a Clavicus Vile-like thing to do. That would also explain why Wraith only makes paintings of nature and doesn't do any alive creatures or intelligent beings as far as we know, as perhaps the brush is even made in such a way that anything it paints which is alive would just attempt to kill the painter. I mean, I know trees are alive, but you know what I mean, like if you paint like animals or people, which would definitely be a Clavicus Vile thing to do, but considering that we only saw trolls being created, and trolls are just aggressive out of themselves, this is all just complete speculation, but hey, speculation is fun, and like I said, we have very little understanding of the painted worlds and true paint, and what their true nature is, so please let me know in the comments what you think. This is a very open speculation kind of subject and everything is possible. But I really feel like after examining all the information that we have, that this feels far more like one of the tricks of Clavicus Vile and doesn't really feel like the intervention of Dibella. But, you know, Let me know what you think. Perhaps you think something completely different. I'll be really looking forward to what you guys write in the comments, because some of you guys are very creative. And I often feel stupid about not thinking about certain things, so please let me know what you think. And that is basically all I can say about the Painted Worlds today, and the big mystery surrounding them. I really hope that you learned something about the Elder Scrolls lore today, and if you did, maybe consider returning for the next Elder Scrolls lore video next weekend. And all that address me now is to vocally thank my top Patreon supporters, Mr. Bernardo Binda, Gabriel Binda, Polaris Patine, Athena Hyodis, Volkjor of Argonia, King Chris, Bolch, Scrub of the Scrolls, Doji, Fenrir, Sword of Bushido, Rakai, Zar Mikal, and Mr. Christmas. It's thanks to all these people and all the others on screen that this channel stays alive, and for that I'm very grateful. That said, I hope to see all of you in the next Elder Scrolls lore video. Bye bye.